Okay, today I'm going to show you something a little bit different for me. I'm going to show you some hush puppies that my kids absolutely love. They're very simple to make, and they only include 5 ingredients, and one of those is the oil we cook them in. So there's an awful lot of recipes out there ask for exact measurements. Now, I don't really believe in exact measurements. I believe in the consistency that you want. So that's why I'm not going to tell you how many ounces or grams or cups of any ingredient I'm going to use. I'm just going to show you as I do it. Again, I also don't have fancy equipment. I'm just going to be using a pot for this, and I'll just tell you what I do as I do it. Okay, first things first, get some flour. So I use self-raising flour in my hush puppies. Just plain old bog standard self-raising flour, nothing fancy about it. And I'm going to use 5 heaped tablespoons. So that's literally just a heaped tablespoon, a very heaped tablespoon. 1, 2, 3, almost 4, 5. I think the first one was so large, I don't care if the fourth one is a bit small. So that's one ingredient out of the way. Now, ingredient number 2 are the eggs, and this is one of the reasons I don't like pure measurements, because while these are large eggs come in a range of sizes. So I'm just going to put in 4 large eggs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just the last bit of the white out of there. Yeah, rinse my fingers because they're a bit gooey. Now this actually, next part requires a little bit of strength, because I'm just going to be mixing the eggs and the flour together. Because it's 4 eggs to 5 heaped teaspoons, it is actually going to make a rather wet mixture, and I just do lots of figure eights until it's mostly mixed in, mainly because I don't want to create a cloud of flour dust. It's not looking great at the moment, but you can see it now starting to come together into a relatively dry dough. Now this will be too dry in and of itself, so what I then do is I add just a tiny bit of milk. Now before I add the milk, and to speed this up, what I'm going to do is pour my oil into my pan. Now it's just a small non-stick pan, but the hush puppies do best when they are about 50% covered in oil. So I'll turn on my heat and I'll pour in a really big dollop of oil. So you want it about 1.5 centimeters deep, maybe 2 centimeters deep. Something nice for the hush puppies to sit in. This is a teaspoon, and it's sitting a little ways into teaspoon. You see the line there. It's about 1 centimeter, 1.5 centimeters deep. Ingredient number 2 done. Oh, 3 if you count the eggs. Now, because the consistency of the dough is way too sticky, what I do is I add a small dollop of milk. Not much, you don't need much. That's that ingredient done. What you want to do is basically just to loosen the dough a tiny bit. Now this is the next bit is actually the hard bit, because this is way too lumpy to deal with. So I literally just really hard mix it as fast as I can, and you can see it starts to get really smooth really fast. is a bit tiring on the arms. Thankfully, you don't need to keep it up for long. And now, that's about as smooth as you need it. Because remember, you're going to be adding sweet corn as well. Yeah, you see it's still really, really thick. But don't worry, it will loosen up once you add the sweet corn. Now, the sweet corn is just naturally sweet corn. And if you look at the ingredient list on it, it literally just says sweet corn and water. There's no salt, there's no sugar. It is just sweet corn and water. Now it's cooked sweet corn. You can actually eat this straight from the tin if you want it. So you need cooked sweet corn. So I'm just going to open it. I'm going to pour out the water. I do not need this water. It will make my batter way too wet. So I poured out the water. Now, just tin of sweet corn. Empty the entire tin in. I really do like my hush puppies with a lot of corn in them. And I just very gently mix the sweet corn into the batter. And you can see that the residual water on the sweet corn does loosen up the batter an awful lot. Everything nicely covered. And the oil's starting to warm up in the background. There's some tiny little bubbles starting to form in the oil. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous when it's done. And my kids love these. They're so sweet. You literally do not add anything else to them. Once they're cooked, that's it. So 5 ingredients, including the oil we cooked them in. Now turn down the heat a little bit once the oil's hot, because I want to give these hush puppies a chance to cook evenly all the way through. Okay. Yeah, just put my hand over to see if I can feel the heat coming off. Soon. Okay, now, next step is putting the hush puppies into the fat and cooking them. Now for this, I use the teaspoon and the big spoon. And I just take a small bit of the big spoon, not too much, and I use the little spoon to push it off into the fat, and then I spread it out a little bit in the fat with the teaspoon. I don't normally put more than 3 in at a time, because the oil will cool down too much. 1, 2, 3. Now, just leave that cook for a little bit. And while that's waiting, I'm going to get out a plate to put the cooked ones on. So they will be soaked in oil. So put out my plate. Put out some kitchen roll to absorb the excess oil. And now I just wait for them to cook. As you can see, they're starting to cook quite well. We just leave them there. Don't need to touch them, don't need to do too much to them. Turn down the heat maybe a fraction again. So it's about 50% of what it could be. And now we just wait. Doopy-doo. You want to give them a couple of minutes each side, maybe 1.5. I'll show you the colour consistency that they are when I take up, or when I turn them over, and then when I take them up. In order to see how well you're doing, what you do is you effectively open the first hush puppy to check the consistency and the texture on the inside of the first hush puppy. Okay, I can see there's just starting to brown a little bit on the bottom, but we'll still give it another minute, or at least another few seconds. Doo-doo. This actually is the best and the worst, because you can smell how tasty they are, but you can't eat them. So that's it, we're just sitting and waiting for the first batch to do. One of the things I like to do as well is if a little drop breaks off and cooks that little bit faster, I'll eat that while waiting for the next batch to do. And I promise I don't make two of them deliberately. I don't make too many of them deliberately. You actually do want to cook them a little bit slow to make sure they do cook all the way through. Yeah. These don't last long at all. My kids will just go through 3 or 4 of them. They'll go through 6 or 7 of them, give them half a chance. Okay. Now if I turn it over a little bit. You'll be able to see they're starting to get a little bit brown. Still not quite the colour I like. I like them a little bit darker than that. So we'll keep going until the first batch are done, and once the first batch are done, I'll sign off. You may not want them quite as sweet as I like them, having a full tin of sweet corn in there. You may want only half a tin. But if I ever don't use a full tin, I'll just sit here with a fork and eat the remainder of the tin while waiting for these to cook. Okay, they do start to brown quite quickly then the second time. So I'm going to turn them over in the order in which I put them into the pan. So, 1, 2, 3. Being careful of any splashes and spits from the oil in the pan. Another half done. I don't like putting fresh hush puppy batches in with existing batches because I think it cools the oil down too much. The temperature of the oil will increase between okay. This batch is coming up on complete. Another 15 seconds and I'll take them up. And then I'll put on the second batch and I'll show you how I check the first batch to make sure they're cooked all the way through. Okay, yeah, take the first batch up. Second batch started. Again, roughly a tablespoon. Spread it out a little bit in the pan. Roughly a tablespoon. Spread it out in the pan. And roughly a tablespoon. And spread it out a little bit in the pan. Now, to check the consistency and to make sure they're cooked all the way through, you literally just break it apart and it should be nice and fluffy and cooked throughout, and that is absolutely gorgeous. Okay, thank you, bye bye.